He is now streaming live on Excellent. I think we're good. All right, now make sure that I record it. Record to this computer. Yes. Okay. Aloha, everyone, and welcome to our Awareness in the Wards event. This is part 6 of our 6-part event series. And sadly, yet not sadly, it is our final event. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Ashanti Bell, and I welcome you to our live stream. This has been an absolutely amazing journey as we have started in January 2020 all the way to June 2020 with this awareness event, with a desire to be able to add support, awareness, resources, education to the ward, 5th Ward, in Kashmere Gardens community. Let's go ahead and next. And it has been monumental. We could have never imagined that the amount of resources, the amount of support, the amount of education, the amount of engagement that we have had during this past 6-month process would have been what it was. All we did was set out to be able to, there we go, to be able to create a mission of adding these resources, and the Most High has perfected our footsteps and guided our path. So before we go into anything, I'm going to turn the virtual podium over to Jonathan as we usher in a spirit of humility and prayer.
Blessing, good day. Blessing, good day. Can
Wait,
you hear me?
I can't hear you. I can't hear you for some reason. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
I
me?
can't hear you. Let me see. Participants, maybe. Give me 1 minute. Let me see. We want to be able to hear you.
Let me know.
I cannot hear you. Let me see. In my system.
Can you hear me?
Technical difficulty.
Can you hear
Give
me?
me 1 moment. I can't seem to hear you for some reason. More sound video make post. Rename. Okay, try talking. Let me see if I can hear you.
I'm just here, just trying to participate in what's going on. I really wish you guys could hear me, but it seems like there is no.
Oh, it's like really, really low for some reason. Very low.
It's very low.
Very
Hey,
low.
1 second, okay?
Okay.
In 1 second.
One of the perks about being able to go virtual and go live is that you have all these technical pieces that you have to deal with now. So as we wait for Jonathan to come back on the line, hopefully we can get some audio. It's just been an amazing, amazing process. We've had an opportunity to be able to work with so many amazing volunteers, because all of the partners, all of the speakers, all of the advocates, they all volunteered their time to be able to come together on one accord to offer this resource to the community. And a little bit about what's going on in the community. Oh, hey, let's see. Edit. Let's try it. Audio.
Okay, can you hear me?
No.
No?
No and no.
I apologize. I seem to be having technical difficulties.
Try. I can't hear you.
How about now?
I'm going to go to the live and see if other people can hear you. Anyone that is on the live, are you able to hear Jonathan?
I'll check the live.
Speaking?
Let me check the live on this other end. Let me see what's going on over here.
Jonathan.
I'll check the live. Yeah, you
Yes,
can hear me.
yes, you guys sound good on my end. Okay, perfect. Okay, so other people can hear you. So we're good to go. I just can't hear you. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing myself. I'm hearing myself. Okay. All right. All right. So we're gonna get started with prayer. First and foremost, we want to usher in the spirit of of the great Yahweh, uh, bringing in some peace and tranquility into the space that we have. May He guide us and grant us success in all that we do. We come before you, Father Lord, that you may watch over us and guard us from all harm and danger, that you may shield us and protect us, that you may bless us, Father Lord, with your grace and patience, that you may allow us to fulfill our duties and responsibilities and fulfill purpose, Father, that you may permit us to provide the information necessary for those that need to hear it, and for those that need to act on it, they're able to take this information and act on it, Father Lord. May you bless us. May you watch over us. Allow us to fulfill our purpose this day and grant us your mercy always in all that we do, Father Lord. Allow us to break generational curses and allowing free information so those that are afflicted by any type of illness or issues that they may have with their health, with the cancer, and other situations that are currently going on with this pandemic. Father Lord, may you guard us in health and wealth. In Yeshua's name we pray. Yahweh bless. Amen.
amen. Excellent. Thank you so much. Before you go anywhere, do you want to add? You've been on this whole journey from the get-go. Would you like to add anything into that could give insight about really what this process has been and what it's said?
So, in regards to this journey, it's been an awesome journey. There's been a lot of growth, personally, also for us as a couple, learning a lot, going through this process. There's a lot going on in our city, and that a lot of people are still not aware that there's a creosote, cancer cluster going on in the Fifth Ward in Kashmere Gardens, and we've been talking about it for 6 months. And this kind of scenario has been going on for years and years, generations and generations. So I think with the new age, this new era of technology with the internet and everything, will allow us the opportunity to break these generational curses that have been casted down on these communities that are afflicted with things that they did not ask for, and they're not being protected. And this whole journey has really opened up my eyes to a lot of things that we can do and can't do at the moment. But step by step, and with the grace of the Lord and the Most High, we'll be able to accomplish some change. And I'm praying that it's in my lifetime, and break some generational curses for the community.
Absolutely. That is a mission, 100%. When we set out for this event or this awareness or this advocacy, we could have never expected the impact that it would have made on our lives personally, as well as everyone that we've been able to come in contact with, from the stories from the community to really getting a deep, in-depth view at what it looks like to be in that space of constant poison, in a space where you're supposed to be able to go to your home and not be your sanctuary, in a space where you work and you raise children and you grow with your family, but the air around you is suffocating you or creating elements in you that you are not privy to or don't have the resources to be able to deal with. That is one of the worst type of horrors, because everyone wants to be able to feel safe. The first thing that everyone wants to be able to do, no matter where they're at, is to be able to say that they're safe. And when you decide to be able to set roots in a place so that you can be able to grow your legacy, the first piece of that needs to be a peace of mind that you're safe in that environment. And for this community, that is not the case. And to make matters even worse, it is an issue that is prevalent, but no one's taking accountability for. And so when you have an issue that no one's taking accountability for, everyone's just kind of passing the buck. The only people that are really suffering are the people that are being afflicted with it. And so just being able to get a in-depth view of what that looks like for them day in, day out, to hear the stories of generation after generation, people losing their loved ones, people losing everything to the diagnosis of cancer, because when that diagnosis hits, it's not just a health piece, but it's a financial piece, it's a piece of mind, it shapes your whole world. And to speak to these people that don't have the access to the resources to make that way clear and straight for them is beyond heartbreaking. And so we're going to go back all the way to the beginning, because this event, tonight's event, is going to really be not just a recap, but an in-depth view of what this project has really been about. So Fifth Ward and Kashmere Gardens, I really want to say the wards, because we don't know how far it spreads, but we do know for sure that 110 homes within Fifth Ward and Kashmere Gardens have a cancer plume underneath those homes. And that cancer plume is an effect of the environmental contamination that is around them. It is due to the fact of the creosote contamination that has been plaguing their grounds and their groundwater and even their air. The creosote was used to lay the, preservative for the woods and the ties that are on the railroads that is now run by Pacific Railroad Company, as well as the phone lines within those neighborhoods. They even had a creosote plant that used to be there, and that plant, of course, is not regulated. And so the, what is the word I'm looking for? The disposal of the waste from these chemicals and from these plants happen right there in their neighborhoods. We heard stories of people that have lived there all their lives, remembering swimming in rainbow pools of what seemed like to be water, but really it was contamination from the byproducts of the waste from the plant not too far up the road. We heard stories of people working in these environments without proper safety. And creosote is a carcinogen. And so with carcinogens, they are gaseous vapors that dwell within the air. And so when you can't see something, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, you only can smell it. They said they remember smelling the smell of creosote. It's a smell that you can never get out of your mind. And when it would rain, they would smell this. That is a horrific reality. And unfortunately, it is a reality that is known way too well by a lot of America. This is not our only issue in regards to environmental safety and how it affects the lives of people, how it affects the lives of our environment. But it is an infrastructure issue as well. Here in Texas, we don't have zoning laws. And so plants and manufacturing facilities and companies are able to set up shop right there in the midst of neighborhoods. And that is good for corporations because they get lower taxations, they have lower restrictions, different regulations they have to abide by. But the only people that are really suffering are the people that have chosen to live in these spaces. And due to redlining, the areas of the ward community was placed on the list of acceptable spaces to be able to build this type of project on. And so for years, many years, decades and decades, they stopped using the creosote back in the 80s, but the effects of that carcinogen has lasted all the way up until this day. We had a resident that told a story about how she basically watched the majority of her family die and pass away from cancer. She spoke about how one person got it and then another person got it, and it was all different forms of cancer, mainly lung cancer and colon cancers. And those are common cancers that are known and associated with creosote. And she watched her family die, unfortunately, and feeling helpless, did not know what to do. And then when the news started airing about the creosote contamination and the cancer cluster within the wards and Kashmir Gardens, the light bulb went on. And she was like, wait, I have family that has died from this. And so to just sit with her and hear her story and hear the pain in her voice, my heart could only go out to her. And even though we want to do so much to be able to eradicate this virus that's going on, we can start with the first step. And the first step is to move forward in the seeds that the Most High plants into your spirit. I am a huge proponent that when the Most High plants a seed in you, that little tiny spark of an idea that you see it visibly in your mind, how you're going to bring it about. When he plants that seed, he will also give you the tools to bring it about. And so, like many of us, we saw on the news cancer cluster right here in Houston. And Houston is such a huge medical hub. And it was shocking to me that, Houston had a cancer cluster in it, especially with us being a cancer resource and research mecca of the United States. But looking more into detail of it, it's not just the creosote. It's not just a cancer cluster. This community has been plagued with people taking its resources and throwing them in the trash. From residents speaking about the asbestos contamination that they had when they were younger, to residents speaking of contracting different ailments, different skin ailments, different breathing issues like asthma, different ailments like cancer, and them not knowing why. It wasn't hereditary in them, but somewhere between the point where they moved from the space where they are to the space where they are now, they contracted these things. The only thing that I could think was, what can we do to be able to offer aid to this community? And the first thing that I thought about was AFLAC, because AFLAC literally was built on a cancer policy. A lot of people don't know it, but AFLAC, the little duck that you see today, was built on the first policy ever being a cancer policy, and the ideal that no family should go bankrupt because they get hit with a diagnosis of cancer. And so what AFLAC did was create a policy that didn't pay the doctors or the hospitals, but pays the families directly for the diagnosis of cancer, the treatment of cancer, the rehabilitation of cancer, and everything in between, so that they can be able to fight the good fight without having to worry about how they're going to pay their bills. And that is a resource that the ward community didn't know about. And so with that tiny little thought, we said, let's do it. And everything else fell into place. It's amazing how noisy the world is today, because it takes us off of the focus of the truth that humanity is always looking to be able to help one another. At the core of us, we want to be able to serve others, because in serving others, we fulfill purpose within ourselves. And so when we started to put together this project, the Most High brought everything that we needed to be able to bring it about. The first resource was, of course, AFLAC and the cancer policy. That led to CanCare, which is a national organization of cancer survivors that turn around and volunteer for people that are currently going through cancer, to help them not only fight the good fight, but to support them in arms and be right by them side by side as one that has victoriously overcome. And that is so absolutely powerful, because there is so many different forms of support. But when you are able to get support from someone that has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and turns around and says, it's going to be okay, it hits so much differently. And so for this organization to be in place the way that it is and be what it is all across the nation is so monumental. And so they jumped on board and they said, yes, we'll be a part of it, absolutely. Then it went to the advocates. We reached out to different advocates that had demonstrated a form of advocacy in the realm of financial, spiritual, mental, and physical advocacy. And pretty much all of them said, absolutely, this is something that we can be able to yield our forces to. And it went from that to Kashmir Gardens. Kashmir Gardens allowing us to be able to be in a space where it's right there in the community that we want to serve and support. They gave us the space to be able to do so. Now, when COVID hit, COVID had other plans, but Yahweh had other plans as well. And we were able to move everything from a physical location to a virtual location. And not just that virtual space, but that space allows for people to tap in absolutely everywhere that they're at. And that form of being able to touch those that you can't see is a powerful, powerful piece, because you can meet people where they're at and they can be able to receive things differently in the comfort of their own space. And that was so monumental and so important. And so what the enemy meant for evil, the Most High already turned for good. And it went from that to MD Anderson, which a lot of us know MD Anderson as being a leading research hub for cancer and cancer support and cancer eradication development. That's what I'm going to say. Because what they do is they literally kick cancer's butt in so many different forms, from the holistic standpoint to the more traditional standpoint. They have all different forms of brackets where you can be able to fight cancer in the space that you're at. And they have the top doctors in the country working under their research, under their hospitals, under their tutelage. And so we were so grateful to be able to call them partners and to be able to have them on the platform to aid with this, because this was a realm that we've never been in before. All we knew is that we wanted to be able to provide a resource. And through these 6 months, we've been able to not only connect with the people that are moving forward in this form of research, moving forward in this form of support, but also aid to the resources that people don't even know that are out there, like Randall Moore, who has fought cancer using holistic healing and has been able to offer his wisdom and his knowledge on what to be able to use to holistically heal yourself. Or like Allison Rosen, who is not only a colorectal cancer advocate, but a cancer survivor herself. This woman was not only so courageous, but after she beat cancer's butt, she turned around and said, now let me help the next one do the exact same thing. And she was so monumental, not just in her story, but also the resources that she brought to the table, like the free places that you can be able to get cancer screening, or the places that you can be able to get resources for medication help, and the different organizations that help to support communities that don't know where to go or where to start. Or like Miss Valerie, who's with the CanCare, who is a cancer survivor and also a former nurse. And she was able to give us her one-on-one, in-depth story about where she was, how it happened, and how she overcame. Or like Roman Williams, who overcame cancer and turned around and decided, I'm going to become an advocate and volunteer with CanCare to be able to do the same for someone that did the same for me. His story was monumental, and he's beat cancer and he's helping others to do the same. To the mental aspect of what a diagnosis like cancer can do to someone's mindset, and how to be able to balance your mind to be able to overrule the diagnosis and the feelings that you feel within your body. And one of the huge pieces of that was, now I don't know if anyone read about this, but science is now saying that at least 60% of healing is in your mind. It starts in your mind first, which is extremely powerful, because if it starts in your mind first, that means that you have to be feeding your mind health. You have to be feeding your mind life so that you can be able to speak that into your existence. And so speaking with people like Dr. Khan, or Cedric Keeler, or Dr. Williams, or Jennifer Jones, who are all advocates for not just a mental healing space, but a conscious awareness that allows for you to elevate your solical space so that you can be able to speak it forth within your physical space. To the nutritional aspect, with MD Anderson and their 9 steps to avoid cancer, how to be able to reduce your risk of cancer, or Dr. Jennifer Jones, who is an amazing nutritionist that spoke about the nutritional aspects, not just on what you eat, but what you surround yourself with, like the electronics or like the radiation pieces, things that you can be able to reduce your chances of contracting an illness like cancer. All of these resources have become available based on just taking that one step of being obedient. And I am a huge proponent now more than ever that obedience opens doors that no man can close. And so through this process, we've not only been able to learn about all of the resources, not all, because there are so many more, but some of the resources that are available to communities and individuals that are facing this cancer epidemic. I'm going to call it an epidemic because cancer has risen over the past few years, and it is extremely sad, but it really is an epidemic. The different organizations that support the resources and the individuals going through this, letting them know not only are you not alone, but we will support you physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially in getting yourself better, healing yourself through the process of eradicating anything that does not benefit you. We've been able to access those resources and provide those resources through the free cancer resource booklet that we now have on our circlenetwork.org page, right there in the loop section. You go down to the download now and download that free resource booklet. It is a booklet of free resources all around the country for all different things, from medicine to camps to fertility treatments to transportation to rehabilitation to holistic healing, to pretty much anything that you can think of. There are nonprofit organizations who have dedicated their entire lives to providing these resources to people. We've not only been able to discover these resources because I didn't know anything about it. Most people don't know anything about it unless they are afflicted with cancer. And at that time, when you're afflicted with something like that, the first thing your mind is going to is, how do I beat this? How do I get better? And so resources are so important. Resources are out there, but you have to search to find them. And our main piece was to be able to bring those resources to the space that needs it the most. And so through this process, we've learned a lot. We've gained a lot, but we've also realized that the work is not done. The work is not done yet. And this is just the beginning of what Fifth Ward and Kashmere Gardens will be receiving from Circle Network. This is only the beginning. Our main goal is to provide need to resource. That's literally what we're founded on. Building by helping others, providing need to resource. And the Most High knew what he was doing when he put this whole thing together. We didn't know 7-8 months ago what it was gonna look like today, but the amount of opportunities to be able to serve has been monumental. And those are some of the things that I definitely want to share with you today as we go into our phase 2 of our Awareness and Reward project. But before I go into that, I want to thank all of our sponsors or I should say partners, because they're not sponsors, they're partners. All of our partners, all of our advocates, all of our speakers who volunteered their time to be able to provide that that resource to need. I want to thank you personally. I want to thank you. So MD Anderson, thank you so much. New Win and Jeanette Lestrap, thank you so much for coming on and giving us those ways to be able to reduce cancer risks. The cancer affliction that is going on in Kashmir Gardens and Fifth Ward is definitely an environmental piece, but there are several things that can be able to reduce those aspects. And so for you to come on and spend your time letting us know what those resources are and how to be able to do that and make yourself available as a resource for the community is monumental. I thank you, Malu. CanCare, you are an amazing organization. Please continue to do what you're doing because we need it out here. Absolutely, we need it out here. The fact that cancer survivors can be able to turn around and volunteer to help other people overcome and kick cancer's butt is monumental. It's being able to be on the front line, arm in arm, and saying, I got you, I have your back. And that is more powerful than we give credit to. I thank you, Malu. Secretary Battle of a new apothecary. Thank you for the work that you do, the holistic health that you do, and the implementation on being able to take holistic healing into a pharmaceutical space is so monumental, especially when we know that a lot of pharmaceutical treatments just treat the symptoms, not the root. And so to get in there and dig up the root from the root and pluck it up and heal yourself and allow for healing to be able to move flowing and unhindered and uncontaminated through the nutrition of giving it the balance that it needs is most admirable, I should say admirable, the most admirable, and I thank you, Malu. Allison Rosen, you are a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse. You are not only a survivor or a warrior, but you are a leader in every sense of the word. And I thank you for the work that you do for the community. I thank you for the work that you do at your perspective place of work. I'm not going to give that and reveal that out, but you are a researcher, and I thank you for the work that you do. And I thank you for the resources that you have provided to this platform so that others can be able to know and have access to these pieces they didn't even know. I thank you. Continue to do what you're doing. Malu. Cedric Keeler, thank you so much for your words of encouragement, your conscious alignment and uplifting words and lifestyle that you lead to be able to help others to become conscious and elevate their mindset. Because once you elevate your mind, everything else follows. I definitely want to let you guys know this book right here, written by Cedric Keeler, absolutely a powerhouse book. This is a huge book of not just affirmations, but a consciousness and an awareness that you speak to yourself to begin to start that process of uplifting. I thank you for the work that you do, Malu. Dr. Khan, I thank you so much for being the advocate that you are for consciousness and development and uplifting oneself. And it starts in the mind. It's 100% starts in the mind. Thank you for the work that you do, Malu. Jennifer Jones of Genuine Nutrition. If you guys need any form of nutrition help and advocacy and coaching, please go and see her. I thank you so much for taking the time to not only share your wisdom and your knowledge, but to be able to volunteer your space and your company to be able to help the people that are around on not just their nutrition on what they eat, but what they see and what they think and how they maneuver in life. It is a three-tiered piece, and I thank you for the work that you do. Malu. Dr. Michelle Wiggins, you are a powerhouse. The mind is where it all starts, and you coming on and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with us, and how to be able to not only overcome the things that are going on through COVID, but how to be able to take those same principles and apply them when you are being afflicted with something like cancer. I thank you for that time and for volunteering your space and your knowledge to it. Malu. Tony with Primerica, thank you so much for coming out and for supporting us and for being a resource for the community to be able to financially prepare them for not just an affliction like cancer, but for everything that life will throw their way. Financial literacy is something that is so understated, but it's something that is so necessary and so attainable. So I thank you for the work that you do. Malu. Nicole and Derek Rahanic of AFLAC, thank you so much for supporting, for being there, for being an advocate for cancer awareness and cancer financial peace of mind, for being able to have that service and that policy where people can be able to not worry about how they're going to pay their bills and pay their medicine, for people to be able to not have to worry about missing time at work, for having to go and be with their loved one that's going through chemotherapy, for people to be able to not have to worry about how they're going to pick up the pieces after they beat this thing. I thank you for being an advocate. Malu. Roman Williams, I thank you for the work that you do with CanCare. You are an amazing powerhouse. You are a warrior. You are a advocate, and you are a leader. And I appreciate your story, you sharing your story and your time, you being so vulnerable to be able to let people know you've been there and you've come from there, and this is how you do it, step by step. I appreciate that. Your work is so monumental. Malu. Valerie with CanCare, I thank you so much for sharing your story, for being an advocate and a researcher, for being so vulnerable as to show and to share your process and how you came through it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and being able to stand there on that podium and share your story and share your light and sharing your victory and how to be able to overcome. It is so monumental. Malu. And Randall Moore, I thank you so much for your holistic words of wisdom, for the recipes that you offered to our guests and to our participants and to the ward community on the things that they can be able to do right there in their own grocery stores, right there in their own gardens, that can be able to not only heal their bodies, but to help align them spirit, soul, and body. I appreciate the work that you do. Please put out a recipe book. We need it out here. Malu. To Jonathan Orozco, I thank you so much for being an advocate, for being in the trenches with us, for building it from the ground up and step by step moving forward to be able to bring resources to this community, resources to anyone that is seeking assistance and awareness, and for always ushering in the spirit of Yahweh to be able to speak to the hearts of those that we speak to. I appreciate you, Malu. The ward community, I thank you for allowing for us to come in and offer these resources, because it starts with you. This is your grounds, this is your space, this is your homes, these are your lives. And for you to open up your homes to us and say that you are willing to not only receive what we had to offer, but to be right there, arm in arm, helping to be able to move forward and to provide the resource that's needed to this need in the community is monumental. Continue to fight, and the Calvary is coming. I assure you, the Calvary is coming. You do not have to fight this war alone. You do not have to fight this fight alone. And now that we're aware of it, we're here with you. Malu. Kashmir Gardens, I thank you for allowing for us to host the events that we hosted for these past 6 months. I thank you for working with us and allowing for us to really play out the vision that we had and providing all the resources to do so. It is so monumental, and I appreciate the alignment and being able to bring this to the community and these resources to the community. Thank you so much, Malu. And to all of you that have tuned in month after month, provided resources, provided commentary, provided shares, have provided word of mouth, have gotten this word out so that we can be able to offer these resources to those that may need it. I appreciate you. Malu, I pray peace upon you all, because it takes a village. No one can do this alone. But when we realize that each person has a piece to the puzzle to be able to bring about the full picture, and once we humble ourselves to be able to work in divine alignment so that we can be able to truly build others, we not only build ourselves, but we offer something of purpose that can be able to sustain for generations and generations to come. So this has been a successful event. All of our events, our awareness events, are chronicled and journaled on our website, www.circlenetwork.org. You can go to our In the Loop section and look at all 6 of the awareness events that we have done. We're also on Facebook at a.in, it's an acronym, a.in.i.w. That's it. A.in.i.w. And that stands for Awareness in the Ward. Oh, no, it doesn't. A.in.t.w. A.in.t.w. That stands for Awareness in the Ward. If you go to that page on Instagram, you'll be able to see different posts about holistic pieces that you can be able to implement, different facts of things that cause cancer that we may not have even known about. We have a ward diary, hashtag ward diaries, and it literally goes from the very first time that we thought of this project to today, and it will be moving forward as well, diarying, documenting the process of the awareness and the change that we are looking to bring to the community. And even though our Awareness in the Wards events have come to a close, we have a whole new project that we're bringing about to be able to move on substantial pieces, not just physically, but environmentally, to the wards and Kashmir Gardens community, to be able to bring sustainable change in not just their air quality, but in their grounds and everything from that space. And so one of the things that I realized as I was in meetings, as I was listening to different organizations get together and talk about what do we do to come to a place where we can be able to support Kashmir Gardens in 5th Ward, is this one piece. Yes, the entities responsible for this environmental contamination definitely need to be held accountable for it. But you can't go back to the same people that poisoned the well and ask them for the rain. It comes from within. We have to start moving to save ourselves. We are the change that we've been waiting for. No one is going to come and say, hey, a white horse is here, let's save you. That's not going to happen. With everything that is going on in the world, so many issues tend to be swept under the rug or get overlooked by the next big thing. But this is something that cannot be overlooked. This is something that is taking the lives of people in our communities over and over and over again from the same thing, cancer. And so we have to start arming ourselves with knowledge and resources so that we can change the space around us, to see the change that we want to see, to be the change that we want to see. And so that has sparked our new project that we are bringing about. Yahweh knew exactly what he was doing when he told and planted this seed in us, because it started off with AFLAC, us only having the resource of AFLAC, but it has moved to something even more monumental. And so I want to roll out to you our phase 2 implementation program that we want to start actively moving forward to, and it's called O2 Prime. And so I'm going to do a little screen share and just walk through a little bit about what O2 Prime is. A quick presentation. I wonder if this is it. I love technology. I need to be screen shared. I don't believe, not unless, give me 1 second. One moment, please. And I want to do screen share. Papers Finder, bam. Okay, I think we're about to do it. I think we're about to do it. No, we're not about to do it. It's not happening. Wait. Okay. 1 second. I know. 1 second. Bam. Haha, we've done it. Okay. We got it together, guys. I want to introduce to you guys O2 Prime. O2 Prime introduction. Now, essentially, O2 Prime, it's not screen sharing?
No, because it's screen sharing the long thing.
Okay.
So stop the screen.
Okay. I'm going to stop screen sharing right now. We're going to get this together. Stop video. We're going to get this together. I can do it. I don't know. A brief intermission, you guys. We're going to get this together. There we go. All right. That's excellent. Thank you so much. Look at that. Teamwork makes the dream work. Excellent. Teamwork makes the dream work. This is exactly what I'm saying. It takes a team, y'all. It takes a village. Okay, O2 Prime. Let's go into what O2 Prime is. Okay, O2 Prime, what does it do? Reduces outside air. It saves energy. Reduces and controls bacteria and pathogens. Reduces and controls mold. Those are key functionality. Benefits system and installation, technology, references, third-party testing, case studies, and questions. We're not going to go through all of those things. We are going to go through how it aids Fifth Ward. Ozone-free, reduces and controls viruses and bacteria, hint, hint, COVID-19, removes airborne particles, hint, hint, the carcinogens in the air, reduces and controls mold, eliminates the need for UV, reduces and controls VOCs, maintains savings, energy saving, outside air reduction, which is huge for the community, especially with the carcinogen roaming around through the air. HVAC equipment reduction, new construction renovations, operational savings, energy savings, coil cleaning. So this little unit is O2 Prime. It's really hard to believe that this little unit can be able to do all of those things with one piece. How does it do it? O2 Prime AH, particle charging. So essentially the amino molecules and the ions, your positive ions, your negative ions, free-floating positive and negative ions produced by the O2 prime unit breaks down gases. The gases regroup to form safe and desirable gases already prevalent in our atmosphere. And so essentially what it does is it takes these molecules, it breaks them down, and it creates them into a gaseous form that's already prevalent in our atmosphere. Positive and negative ions react to form hydroxyls. The hydroxyls rob the pathogen of the hydrogen necessary for them to survive, making them inactive, creating water vapor, H2O, in the process. Look at that. Virus, hydrogen, rob it of it. Airborne particles. Airborne particles in the form of vapor droplets, dust, skin scale, etc., act as a transport mechanism for airborne bacteria. This is a common means of spreading various types of contagious infections. The alga maturation collection process by which O2 prime works creates ion clusters that reduce airborne particles within HVAC systems, supply airstream, and the occupied zone. By making these particles larger via collection, a larger percentage of particle clusters will be captured by the HVAC filtration system, therefore leaving the occupied zone with lower levels of airborne contamination. Now, okay, this piece. Reduce and controls mold, viruses, bacteria, and pathogens. The positive and negative ions attack DNA, RNA cell structures of single cell organisms and removes hydroxin. O2 prime does not harm human tissue or skin in any way. It is 100% safe. It increases pathological health, productivity, overall well-being with no byproduct creation. Bacteria issues. These are some of the testing bacteria that it has been able to effectively eradicate. C. diff, E. coli, Legionella. No, that's not that. Yeah, is it? Legionella. MRSA, norovirus, SARS, which is also known as coronavirus or COVID-19, VOC air particles, Enterococcus, and S. aureus, Enterococcus, and S. aureus bacterium staph. Bacteria pathogen, mold, third-party verifications. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a moment and just touch on these few pieces. Well, let's go through this actually. Vertical market, arenas, indoor sports, hotels, airports, schools, commercial, healthcare. These are target markets for this product. Surface and airborne mold reduction, elevated indoor air quality. O2 prime installed into the air handling systems in ACCU black mold was reduced by 99% in less than 30 days. Anyone that knows anything about black mold is one of the things about it is it's not only extremely deadly, but it also creates a host of other health issues. And so places that have black mold usually are shut down so that it can be either eradicated or it's condemned. And unfortunately, especially with the old infrastructures within Fifth Ward and Kashmere Gardens and pretty much in the Ward community, there is a lot of buildup of different pathogens and different bacteria because it is such old infrastructure and those places have not been revitalized or renovated. And so the schools, a lot of buildings, a lot of healthcare places, a lot of the grocery stores, a lot of these structures, homes are being affected by the attack of mold and other bacterias, asbestos, other environmental activities and bacterias, and those pieces are definitely an effect to the health risk of that community. I'm going to actually stop screen sharing here. We're done with this, right? Okay. Screen sharing is done. So, O2 prime in a nutshell, I know I went through quite a bit, but O2 prime in a nutshell is a device that is able to eradicate airborne viruses, increase the airflow within the space that it's at, as well as reduce the outside air of the environment that is around it. Now, one of the biggest things that we said was that creosote is a carcinogen. A carcinogen is a gaseous vapor that is in the air and you don't even realize that you are inhaling it. And so with a device like O2 prime that is able to eradicate such pathogens in an environment, in a space where those pathogens run rampant, it seems like an immediate fix could be O2 prime. And so one of the things that we definitely want to start advocating for and moving forward with is the implementation of O2 prime within the communities. We have access to this technology. This technology is not a new technology. Over 2,500 different countries are using it right now in the fight against COVID-19 and the coronavirus. This equipment and technology is actually right now in the White House. And so if you see them doing the meetings and the press conferences and they're not wearing any masks, this is why. This company just got a very large deal with I'm not at liberty to say who, but with a very big cruise line company. And they are putting this device on all of their cruise ships so that they're able to continue moving forward with their cruise plans in the wake of COVID-19. And so this is a very, very, very powerful tool. This tool is not only very powerful, but very helpful. Think about what it can do just in the effects of everyday viruses, right? Like the flu, like common colds, like SARS and coronavirus. These are things that run rampant right now in our everyday life, especially in schools, especially in churches, especially in malls, especially anywhere where there is a lot of human traffic, there is a lot of these pathogens being spread around. And so the implementation of this form of technology is not only readily available, but it is accessible to us right now for a time such as this. And so moving forward, even though we are closing out our 6-month awareness event, we are moving forward with our environmental awareness plan. And so Fifth Ward Cashmere Gardens, please be on the lookout for it, because this is something that we are wanting to bring to your communities to not only help with the environmental space around you to better that space, but to also allow for you to breathe easily, literally breathe easy in your homes, in your workplace, in your schools, in your churches, in your libraries, in your community centers, knowing that the outside contamination around you, even though there's logistics going on about who's going to clean it up, you can know that today you are safe, breathing safely. This is our mission to be able to bring forward. Also, there are several project plans moving forward in the redevelopment process of Fifth Ward and Cashmere Gardens, and really the wards in general. And so going back to the issue of the historically and dilapidated state of some of these buildings, a lot of these buildings, and the aspect of them not being properly kept up. And so even though you're having to work and be in these spaces, the environmental aspect of, is it safe for me to be here, is not being answered. That is going to be coming to, I don't want to say coming to an end until it's done. Nothing is done until it's done. But we aim to be able to bring those resources to help with the development of that piece, to help to be able to go in and create a clean environment for you to be able to thrive in. And that is our mission. And so the beginning part of this journey was definitely, how can we offer a resource that we have to a community that needs it? Moving forward through this 6 months, the Most High has brought in alignment, different relationships, different opportunities for us to be able to not only build with that original resource, but to build on top of that resource. And so not only do we come out of this 6-month awareness event with a free cancer resource booklet, but moving forward, we are looking to be able to make environmental, sustainable changes so that you can breathe easy, knowing that your air is safe. And we move on from there. We just move on from there. Every step by step leads to something else. But these are the first steps that we will be working on to be able to bring a substantial change. Also, I wanted to touch on the fact that MD Anderson and Harris Health has come together and have offered or are offering free cancer tests for people that are within the contaminated areas. And so where cancer testing may be expensive to go and get, all of the labs all the time, all of those things that take effort, financial resource, and time and space to be able to do, MD Anderson and Harris Health have offered their services to be able to provide this free resource to the communities that are being afflicted by the creosote contamination in Fifth Ward and Cashmere Gardens. And so if you are in those communities and you have been affected and you have not been tested for cancer, please get in contact with us. That way we can be able to direct you to the space where you can be able to get free testing, because the first step to being able to fight something is knowing, right? G.I. Joe said, my mom always liked to tell me, G.I. Joe said, knowing is half the battle. Knowing really is half the battle, because once you know something as a fact, you can be able to create a plan to move forward and to be able to efficiently and effectively create the outcome that you want to have. And so we encourage you, get in contact with us. www.circlenetwork.org. www.circlenetwork.org. I'm going to say it again. www.circlenetwork.org. If you go to that website, put your information in the contact us, we will get back in contact with you and connect you to the resources that you need to be able to not only sustain but to also be able to create an efficient and effective plan for the outcome that you are looking to receive from this campaign right now. And so I encourage you, take absolutely full advantage of the resources that are available to you. Preparation is so entirely key. I spoke about it a few events ago. Preparation is key. If there's one thing that this COVID-19 has shown us is that we are not prepared. As a nation, we thought that we were prepared for something like this, but we are not. We were not. And the lack of preparation created more casualties than what was necessary. And one thing that we want to eradicate right now within the Fifth Ward community and the Kashmir Garden community is the amount of casualties that are piling up due to lack of knowledge and lack of preparation. And so allow for us to be that guideline to be able to help gear you towards the preparation and the resources that are necessary for you to be able to thrive, for you to be able to survive, and for you to be able to turn back around and reinvest into your space so that no one has to go through this again. I like to say this is our, what do I like to say? This is our Flint, Michigan, right? Flint, Michigan. Everyone, when the water crisis and the lead crisis happened in Flint, Michigan, the world was in shock that such a developed country as the United States had a contaminated water issue. But guess what? Flint still hasn't been cleaned up. It still hasn't been cleaned up. It's gotten resources to help to sustain, but it has not been cleaned up. And to this day, children are being born and growing up with lead contamination and lead contamination diseases due to the fact that there has been no resolve to it. There are casualties that are piling up due to the fact that there has been no resolve to it. When you cannot drink the water out of your sink, well, you shouldn't drink the water out of your sink. But when you cannot drink the water out of your sink because it is definitely and factually contaminated with lead, you can't take a shower because the water above you is dripping down lead, you can't water your plants because your plants are going to grow with lead contamination, that is a global issue. Why is Flint not cleaned up? So that goes back to my original statement of we cannot wait for someone else to save us. We have to save ourselves. You cannot go to the same space that has poisoned the water hole and ask for the remedy to the poisoned water. That doesn't work like that. You will be waiting a long time. You will be thirsty and waiting a very long time. But the resources that we need are all around us. They are all around us. There is no lack of opportunity. There is no lack of resources if you know where to look. And those that seek will find. And we're just starting a mission of finding. We're seeking so that these answers can be able to have a resolution, so that we can be able to have the resources to implement within our communities, so that we not only save ourselves, but we save generations to come. And we know and have the wherewithal to be able to make sure it never happens again. This is what it looks like with snakes in your garden. This is what it looks like to know nothing new. Depending on the words of slavers and robbers, this is the type of life that makes you confused. So take the opportunity to fully explore all the resources that are available to you, fully explore all of the resources that have been made through these advocacy centers, through the work that's being done in the community, through events like this. Take the opportunity to seek, and I promise you, you will find. Because there's more people than not looking to be able to help and to assist and to be able to come into the trenches with you and pull you out of it. You are not in it alone. Anytime there is evil rampant, it makes itself bigger to try to make you feel as though you're this small and that you can't do anything about it. But that is not true. You can make a difference. We can make a difference. All it takes is being obedient, listening to the voice of the Most High, taking heed to that seed that is planted into our spirits and moving through obedience to make it and manifest it and fulfill it here in this space, in this plane. That's all it takes. And I assure you, everything will line up to make sure that that happens. All you have to do is be dedicated to the obedience to making it so. And so that is what I want to leave with you all today. It has been an amazing, amazing journey. It has been a journey that has not only touched my heart and my spirit, but has groomed me into becoming the type of servant that I want to be for people. And I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve you, because this process is an act of servitude. We are not islands, and it takes many pieces to create a full picture. But if we realize that we are not alone and that there are others out there looking to be able to bring about the same purpose that we're looking to bring about, there is nothing we can't accomplish. There is absolutely nothing that we can't accomplish. So I want to encourage you today, write down that dream, write down that seed, write down that spark, write it down. That's the first step. Just put it on paper. Write it down and allow for the Most High to lead you to what He wants you to create with it. Because if you do not see it around, it's because you haven't made it yet. That's it. That at the root of it, that is what it is. If you have not seen it created yet, it's because you are the one to create it. You are the one that everyone is waiting for to make it happen. You are not small. You are a creator. So use the creativity, use the efficient tools around you, use the network around you to be able to build the empire that you want to see. Because everything else is doing it. We are just under the impression that we are subjugated to a form of lifestyle that is being created for us. But really, someone else just decided to make it happen. We can do the same. We can take the opportunity to use these seeds and plant these seeds for good, for righteousness, for betterment of everyone involved. Because the earth has given the resources. And if we are only taking from it to build something that is only going to tear it down, then we are working backwards. That is the opposite of self-preservation. Pride lacks self-preservation. It will sacrifice everything just for itself. We cannot allow for ourselves to operate in a space of pride any longer. And that goes even to the point of not going to get tested for cancer because we think that it's too expensive for us. There are resources for you. Don't allow for pride to keep you from getting the redemption and getting the healing that you need and that you deserve. Don't allow for your lack of access to things to keep you from getting what you deserve. Because I assure you, it is accessible and it is for you. So I leave you with that today. I thank you for spending this 6-month journey with us. I thank you for allowing us into your homes, into your community centers. I thank you for allowing us to be able to serve you in this manner, and we look forward to serving you on even greater spaces, even greater ways. It's only going to grow from here. So don't forget, please go to our Instagram page at a.n.t.w and follow this process all the way through. Hashtag Ward Diaries. Hashtag Ward Diaries. We will keep up with the documentation of everything that is going on, and it's going to be in video form, so you don't have to read it. Just sit there and watch it. And if you want to get involved, get involved. We need people to get involved. This is what this whole project is about. People helping people. So if you have a resource, bring it to the forefront. We need it. If you need a resource, bring it to the forefront. We have a resource. We are able to serve you wherever you're at. And I leave you with that today. I appreciate you all. Malu, have a peaceful and productive rest of your week. And I thank you for allowing us to serve you this day. Take care.